Welcome to episode 3 of the Way2Cheap Podcast, a cheaply made podcast with two budget hosts. I'm one of your budget hosts, Noah.
And I am Hans, otherwise known as Way2K. And I just want to say the fact that we've reused the same intro 3 times is a testament to how cheap this podcast is.
Yeah, well, I mean, why would we switch up the intro? Also, I just don't really know how to introduce you, so I just kind of stop and assume you're about to take over.
Well, the thing that I want is to have some cheap knockoff of like other like known introductions for everyone. So kind of like how WandaVision had different television sets.
Whoa, spoilers.
That's not a spoiler. Everybody knows
It spoiled it. I can't watch it.
Well,
it's over.
I might talk about that
podcast is over. Goodbye.
As he takes his headphones off and walks away.
Yeah, I had to.
But
you had to know it was over.
That's the goal. I want to have cheap jingles and knockoffs of like introductions to this podcast.
There you go.
It would really sell the whole theme.
That. We'll work on it once we get it on, other platforms and get some graphics for it. I was looking into that the other day. That's probably an off podcast talk, but I was looking into paying someone to do it. So if any one of our 2 listeners want to make some more graphics for us.
So graphics in terms of like channel art, or are we talking like big time, like in the middle of the podcast, there'll be like a center screen that shows up showing what we're talking about?
No. I mean, channel art, and maybe like change the background of our video format, and obviously like a logo and stuff. So
we do need the logo.
We'll get there. Yeah. So we'll get there. I was gonna find someone. I just didn't go with it because I forgot. So
I trust you to make one on Paint.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to go professional from the start, by going through podcasts.
You're professionally keeping with the theme.
There we go. But paying someone $5, I feel like, is good enough. I'm not paying someone like $100 to make a logo they could have made in 10 seconds.
And that's on Fiverr, right?
Yeah, of course. Always Fiverr.
For those that don't know, I assume everybody knows about Fiverr now because it's 2021, almost to 2020. But Fiverr is a really good place to get cheap artwork and stuff.
Dude, you can get animations and stuff on there. It's crazy. We're not sponsored by Fiverr, but if they wanted to sponsor me.
Yeah, if Fiverr or any other company for that matter wants to sponsor us,
Fiverr, I can make some solid sneaker video off of you, but Seth Fowler's already done that.
Yeah. Well,
maybe next time.
That being said, do you want to go into how your channel's doing?
Yeah, sure, why not? My channel... Cheapies. I didn't really say that, but if you're 3 episodes in and haven't listened to 1 or 2 yet, you really should know who I am. But Cheapies, link in the description to both of ours. Also, subscribe to this podcast because we're at 7 subscribers here, which is pretty good for 2 episodes.
Not bad. So although our video views are kind of lacking behind the subscribers.
We've only post 1 video, and then the second video came out the day we're recording this. So there's still time.
Yeah, I forgot.
So my channel is at 352. I had a rough week this week. I lost 2 subscribers, and then I think it was yesterday. So I lost 2 subscribers on Monday, I think, and then Wednesday, which was yesterday, I gained 2 again. So I'm like back to where I was to start the week, which is fine.
But you were below 350 last time, right?
No. Oh yeah, I was at 346.
So congratulations on hitting 350.
Thank you. I'm still 150 away before I'd ever do a giveaway. So we gotta keep working there. I should probably push a little harder and say like, hey, giveaway here, and push my videos since I'm not even uploading this week, but that's my fault. So
do you have a TikTok?
I got 2 now.
You should make a channel TikTok.
I should, but I don't even have TikTok on my phone.
Well, yeah, neither do I. But you can do it from your computer, can't you?
I doubt it. You have to record it on your phone.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I thought you could upload a video.
You probably can. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know TikTok enough, and I don't think I'm creative enough for like short videos.
That's what's hip though. Even like YouTube Shorts, like that. That's like that hip hop.
That was last episode. You're going back to last episode. We don't talk about that last episode.
Continue.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get to TikTok one day, but I rather put more effort into YouTube and then maybe Instagram because I don't even upload there enough or post there enough.
You do have an Instagram account though?
I do. Cheapies YT. Same thing on Twitter. Twitter's basically useless unless you want to know when a video goes live, but Instagram does the same thing for you. But other than that, I haven't really done much. I just ordered some mystery boxes from Sneaker Flea, so we'll have those next month, I think, which will be good because those are always decent viewership.
Right.
So those will be good. And then I need to paint some sneakers.
That was going to be my question.
We're going to bring that up every episode, how I have yet to paint the sneakers. But we'll do it, I think, Sunday. I think I have time to do it. It's just the only problem. I want to do it. Like, I want to paint sneakers. I just don't want to film it. Because then there's a lot of editing.
Well, sure,
and, like,
yeah.
I have to actually, like, I have to sit down the whole time and, like, paint them. I'm going to paint one and then just finish the other, like, off camera because it's going to be the same thing. So you only need to see the one.
Right.
But I want to make the video actually, like, good, and I don't just want to, like, here's the paint sneaker and I'm done. Like, I messed up the second video and I want to make it better, and then I want to do other sneakers. So.
Well, how much editing is there, like, really? Is it just, like, cuts, or is it time lapses, or, like, how were you thinking of...
I would want to do, like, time lapses and stuff, and then obviously, like, there's cuts in that too, but, like, painting, like, the actual painting and stuff like that, like, time lapse it, throw some music so you can just, like, chill and watch and listen to it. But I don't want to make it, like, crazy long because I know it'll take me a while to paint it, but I don't want to make it, like, a 30-minute video when it could be, like, a 10-minute video. So it's really just finding the parts that are, like, interesting or, like, speeding through it. Like, there's one dude, his name's Marco. He, like, paints sneakers sometimes, but they're all, like, 4-minute videos, and he's way better than I am. And, like, his, like, videography is, like, so much better. So I'm just, like, I don't have the production value to do that. So
I was gonna say, there's this channel that, like, they reconstruct, like, old Game Boys and different things like that, and you gotta have, like, those, like, the clean cuts to, like, when you, like, pick off tape, or, you know.
Yeah, well, I'll probably have, like, that kind of stuff, and, like, yeah, I'll probably do that. But, like, the one dude, he'll just basically, like, he'll paint one part, like, you see him painting, you, like, flip it over, and then it's, like, half of it's done already, and it's, like,
oh, wow.
Well, that, it doesn't work for me. Like, that's just editing, obviously, but it doesn't work for me when I want to show more, like, a process and, like, showing it. Maybe, like, later on, if I keep doing it, like, I can go to quicker sneaker customizing, but I don't think I want to, like, go down the path of, like, being a sneaker customizer.
I assume that this video in the series will get the most views.
I would assume it'd get more than 1 and 2, just because if people actually, like, check it out and, like, they see the actually painting. I feel like from here on out, hopefully they'll do better, because I haven't been doing great, but it's more of a it's more of a video just for me, because it requires less money, basically.
Right, yeah.
So, like, I can do it. Like, there's a little bit of an upfront investment and then, like, buying a sneaker, but, like, if I do them for, like, friends and stuff, I'd be like, hey, if you like the design, basically be like, you pay for the sneaker and I'll just, like, do it for you. But we'll see. I'll probably just give most of them away because I'll be buying cheap ones.
Would you ever, like, pre-make a design on, like, Photoshop or something like that? And then,
I did for the first one. Like, I mocked it up. I didn't do anything, like, crazy. I just mocked it up. So I knew what I was, like, going into it, what I would want to do, because I am not creative. And I would like to see going into it beforehand to see it. So I'm like, I did it that way. And I think it looks all right. Like, it's nothing crazy, but
now,
it's good now.
Here's an idea for you. Would you include that inside of your video? Because, like, with one of my recent videos, I mean, it was really poor quality job, but I included, like, a paint drawing of, like, what I was planning on doing as, like, the introduction.
I'm not good with Photoshop, so I'm not going to really, like, time lapse my Photoshop thing.
Sure.
I make sure, like, the mock-up on the screen, be like, hey, this is what I mocked up and this is how it turned out to be. So we'll see about that.
I know. Have you ever watched Stuff Made Here?
I think a few times.
Like, an engineering channel. He does a lot of, like, really cool, like, iPad, like, I don't know what program that is, but drawing stuff.
Yeah. If I had an iPad, maybe I would do it, but I'm not skilled enough, or I'm not paying for an Apple Pencil.
True.
I'm not an Apple guy either, so.
I've had one before, but the only one I have now is just my work one.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can do. I mean, you have an iPhone.
That's true. I guess that is true, but I would.
So you're like already in the Apple thing, but, like, so, like, switching to Android would be, like, very bad for you probably.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I've had both.
But I think more at this point, it's more just, like, the switching over, like, some of the stuff you already have. Like, that's why I won't switch to an iPhone, because I have an Android. So, like, everything's connected to my Google account. So I'm like, all my contacts and stuff easily transfer over whenever I get a new phone.
I know some people that switch between Android and Apple, like, regularly. Like, every like new release, they'll switch. I don't know how they could do that.
I can do it. Plus, the operating system is just a little different enough that if I'm not used to, like, if I'm already used to one, why would I switch to the other?
Right.
But this isn't an Android versus Apple debate. This is back to your YouTube channel. we're going to see how you're doing, because I've already talked about how I was doing.
Well, I'm not doing nearly as well. I've only gained 2 subscribers, and that is the most depressing part, I think, about this past week. I think for me personally, was because if you are subscribed to my channel and you've watched, you'd know that last week was like my most complicated video that I put out. Still needed a lot of work, but it took me over 40 hours of like recording and editing to make. And that was my March Madness bracketology video, essentially. And it got the most views. I think it's my most viewed video. If not, it's like number 2, really, really close. And definitely the most amount of views in the first 24 hours. I actually have the stats right here so that I could look at.
There you go.
But the problem that I have with it is that the likes was like 1 or 2 more than my top one, which is not that great for like views to like ratio. I know that ratio is generally pretty low for people, but on top of that, I gained no new subscribers.
Yeah, and well, especially, I mean, like obviously you getting views is like the most important thing. I mean, obviously subscribers are probably the most important thing to like grow further on, but like you getting at least noticed is better. But you always go into a video and you're like, oh, this might be the video I might get subscribers. And then like 3 months later, one video just starts popping off for you and you gain a bunch of subscribers. So it's really just difficult for all of that. I thought the video was good. If I wasn't subscribed, I was subscribed again.
I was nervous about a few parts of it just because I think there were some tonal switches, and I think that those ended up being a little bit too rough. I think that making more of a balanced transition between some of like the funnier parts and like the more serious parts would have been better. But I think there's a lot of learning lessons, or just lessons learned rather, throughout the process of that I'll carry with me going further. So
yeah, I mean, for like a first time doing that sort of video, I mean, you're gonna learn things. You're not just gonna hop into a video and just be like, oh, I'm an expert at this thing. Like, because you don't do it, you don't know how like your normal like flow when stuff goes. I mean, like, when I do a video that I've done a million times, I know when I'm going into it and like how I'm gonna like cut it and everything, and how I'm gonna change stuff up. But like that video takes a ton of work, and obviously going from like your Parkitect videos where you just kind of have to talk the whole time, right, and then you're good, versus a video where you're making a ton of cuts and like going to a bunch of different things and going all over the place. It's going to take a lot of extra work.
Tons of cuts, tons of composite shots with like lots of moving pieces and elements that are disappearing off the screen and on the screen.
Yeah.
Lots of, audio effects and stuff. So happy with how that turned out. That's like the moral of the story. Just was hoping for a little bit more, and I'm not sure what to expect when I have, 24 subscribers, but
yeah, I mean, a lot of it also is like March Madness is massive.
True.
So there's a million people making videos on it. So like, if you're not like, either if you're not already big, or if you don't for some reason like trend for some reason, not like trend, but you know what I mean, like start showing up randomly, you're not gonna like get a ton of exposure for it just because it's like such a big thing. That's why like, I mean, like every sneaker video I make, there's a million other people that do the same thing. So it's just YouTube life.
The other challenging thing I think for my channel is like, since like I've been mostly doing Parkitect videos, trying to find like my next Parkitect video to put out. I know it would be like the next episode, or chronologically the next challenge in like the campaign playthrough, but I've been struggling with motivation to get one of those out purely from like a creativity standpoint. As you mentioned earlier, creativity is challenging to come by.
It's the hardest part of this whole thing, because like obviously you want to be different and you don't want to just produce the exact same thing, but then when you're just like, especially in our situations where we're both very small, so like being super creative is very difficult when you have to work 40 hours a week. So it's just like, when your time off, you're like, I want to relax, I want to do these things, like run errands and like stuff like that. You don't want to be like, all right,
I don't think anybody wants to run errands. They have to run errands.
There's just things like, I rather, like, there's some days where I'm just like, I rather go to Target or go do something instead of like sitting down and be like, all right, time to make a video that I don't really know what I'm doing today. So always some good stuff on YouTube.
And the start's always the hardest part.
Yeah, that's why the third video of the customized sneaker hasn't come out yet. It's really just the ideas is the hardest part. Like if you don't have a specific thing you're going for every single time, it's the hardest part. For me, I just don't have the money to invest in mystery boxes like constantly and I don't want to like become a reseller basically full time. Like I'll buy the mystery box and then I have to sell everything to make my money back to do the next one. So it's just like if I can't sell it fast, then I'm just sitting on money, and then I'm like, I need to make my money back basically, which is some of my problem.
That's the tough with like channels that require like investment up front in terms of cash. You know.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
But you know what I'll say is, did you use any of my suggestions in my bracketology video towards your brackets? And if you did, were they successful?
Not gonna lie, I made another bracket after watching your video because I was like, you know what, I should like condense all like my brackets because I make a lot of brackets.
Yeah,
I make them like day it comes out. Like your video is obviously a few days after like the day it came out. So I like have brackets already made, but then I was like, I should make another one where I try condensing and like actually pick who I think's gonna do well. That's actually somehow my best bracket so far.
The tips stuck.
But my bracket's awful.
Oh well, maybe not.
Terrible. None of my upsets worked. I think one of your tips, which I've known the whole time, like obviously I'm into March Madness, like the 5 and 12 games, the 12, there's always at least like 1-12 that wins like every year, and I picked all the wrong ones. I think I might have only picked like one or two. I think most of them were the same team, and none of them worked. I obviously picked like no upsets, and it was just not a good year for me.
So I guess then what my next question will be is we'll kind of transition here to more of a March Madness segment. And how is your best bracket doing? So let's go with, there's been 2 rounds so far at the time of recording this, which would be the round of 64 and the round of 32. For those that don't know, March Madness is a 64-ish, 68 team bracket.
68, come on.
You know, that's really only counts for 64 in terms of bracketology. Hey, if
one of those teams go far, so.
Yeah, but the pick doesn't count against you either way. You get whatever one comes through.
I used to count it because I was like, if you lose that game, but then you pick that, like, say you picked, I don't know, this year Wichita State was in it. You pick Wichita State to go a couple of rounds and they lose the first game, then you shouldn't be allowed to change it because they lost that very first game. But doing it online, they don't ever care about the first 4 games. So I don't do it anymore just because it's useless.
So for posterity's sake, there's 64 teams basically, which means that there's 32 games in the first round and 16 games in the second round. And so out of a maximum of 32 games, you could have 32 correct guesses. So out of the first round of 64, how many on your best bracket did you get right?
Out of the first round or first 2 rounds?
First round first, and then we'll go to the second round.
I got 20 on my best bracket, I think. Or at least the bracket I consider is my best. Let me check all of them. I think it's 20 out of 32, which is really bad. Oh, I got one with 21. All right, so like 20, 21, 22. One of those.
That's still
like,
probably better than crazy. Average.
Probably. One of my brackets like 73%, but that's terrible for like at this point. Like you're having obviously no shot in winning any bracket pool with a 73% like tile.
Probably not.
Bracket. Like I'm ranked 4 million, so it's not like I have a good shot with anything. But yeah, first round I got 20, and then on my best bracket, my round 32, I got half the games, so 8.
For me, my best one was 26 out of 32, and that's a bad. I guess it's not like a terrible year, especially when we had as many upsets as we did. And then for the second round, I had 8 of 16. So
you only got 8 out of 16.
So that was a little bit
like
rough.
Killing it.
Yeah,
we're in the same bracket pool too. So like you can see everyone's brackets in there, and yours was like on top the first.
It still
day.
is on top. It's still number 1 in our group.
Okay,
and it has the highest potential score.
Mine's down. Yeah, and this year I feel like the team everyone picked to win it all is very similar.
Yep.
Where like every few years you can like going into like the Sweet 16, you have a lot of different teams, but this year it's like the same team everyone picked.
Oh yeah.
So it's like if you have the same team and it's not too much different and everyone wins out, you're pretty good. But this year was a mess for me. 20 is pretty bad. I usually go into it with like 26 or something like that because it's like most of the time, like there's like what, maybe 5 upsets.
In the first round, it's usually between like 6 and 10.
Okay. But this year I feel like it was way more. And even the ones I've picked everyone wrong this year.
Yeah, that's
like everyone I went for, I picked completely wrong, or they would lose by like very little. And it was just like, cool. The one I actually went for this year didn't go.
I think people find this interesting, and that's that usually most years I break into the top 10,000 brackets in the first round. Sometimes I break into the top 1,000. I think my best ever was when I was in 320th place on the ESPN in high school. But it always falls apart after the second round. So always take my advice in the first 2 rounds, and then anything past that is not too great.
The problem with the past rounds is either you keep picking that upset, or you just start picking the teams that you're like, they should win. Like, they should be the one that wins every single time. Because, like, picking some, like, the very top teams usually goes pretty well. Like, the 1 and 2 seeds usually goes well. So you can kind of keep picking them for a little bit. And then once you hit, like, the Sweet 16, then it gets a little hard. Like, oh, is the 1 seed actually going to make it this year? But this year. I'm going to go for it.
Have you filled out the Sweet 16 bracket challenge yet?
I have not. I basically gave up on March Madness this year because I was so mad after the first day.
It's such a stupid thing. I mean, I guess, it's another thing to compete in, so, that's kind of fun. But honestly, I got really, like, tilted when that first came out, purely because I'm like, you're just, like, over milking it at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's money.
Yeah.
People go on to ESPN or whatever and make their second chance bracket, or there's probably more people that gamble now, and they're like, we'll make another bracket pool where it's second chance bracket, but like less than our first one. We should probably talk about some of the upsets, because everyone just, if like, obviously you've picked a bracket, so then like some of the major ones that happens, but we should go into, I guess, some of our picks for at the beginning of it.
So do you want to start with which upsets we got right, or do you want to start with which upsets we got wrong?
I say we start, so pick your like best bracket or best 2 brackets. Who'd you have winning it all to start with?
Gonzaga, and it pained me to do that because I don't enjoy rooting for Gonzaga.
I don't know how I like them. I've always liked them, but they've never won anything, so it's like, why would you not root for them?
I thought they've won recently.
No, they've never won.
Okay.
Or they haven't won in a very long time, but they haven't won in recent memory.
They've been really well, or they've done really well lately.
They always do well, and they never finish. Like, in the past, like, what is it, maybe like 15 years, they've gone from like, they'll make the tournament and maybe like win a game to like, they should be a Final Four team like every year with how good they can recruit. But yeah, so you pick Gonzaga in both of them?
So I guess I think I have best Baylor 2 in the second one, but I really only kept track of my main one.
Okay. I was keeping track of my 2 best ones have the same team, both pick Gonzaga, but the ones that hurt me the most, because I did pick other brackets. Obviously, if you guys have heard of our other podcasts or of our friends, we both went to Ohio State, and obviously I have to pick Ohio State in one of the brackets, especially as a 2 seed, even though I didn't think they were going to do well this year, because every game I would watch, it was so stressful. And I picked Ohio State to the Final Four or win it all, like in every bracket.
You're trying to have a heart attack every single time you turn on the TV, was what you're telling me.
Yes. So I picked Ohio State to make the Final Four. Or no, my best bracket, I picked them all the way to the finals. Because I was like, all right, Big Ten, they're going to do great this year. And the Big Ten just said...
What a big flop. Talking about
they said, we're terrible and we're only Michigan this year.
Well, the thing is, I'm pretty sure Michigan's top player is still injured, too. So I'm not even sure how they're...
Dickerson guy, he's their best player. Livers is like their second best player, but they're pretty good, both of them.
Well,
but
I mean, they're the only team still in, so regardless of how they're playing better than anybody else.
Well, so Ohio State was the big upset. It was the big upset for everyone, but it was really upsetting for me, and I would probably say it was the same for you, because Ohio State should have won that game.
Well, here's my thing with that game. It was 3 o'clock on a Friday, right? So I was already pretty much tuned out of work at that point in time, and ready for March Madness, which for those that don't know, the main reason we're talking about this is because March Madness is one of my favorite times of the year, and I'm not a huge sports follower, but I always follow March Madness, and so this is basically a holiday for me, and to root for my favorite team on my favorite sports time of the year is a really fun thing to do, and to have that ripped away from you in the beginning of the afternoon on the first day of the whole tournament.
It was the 4th game too.
When it never even crossed my mind that there was a possibility we lose to Oral Roberts.
The problem is obviously March Madness, I was going to say this too before I get into everything. March Madness is probably like up there for me as like one of the top maybe 2 or 3 like sporting events for the year.
Would Stanley Cup be number 1?
I don't know, because it's not March Madness. I don't like, usually I have a team going into it, but I'm always excited about it no matter what. Where the Stanley Cup, it's like, all right, I'm excited for it. It's probably more than anything, it's probably just college football in general. And since we're Ohio State fans, it's usually a postseason thing too.
Right.
So we care about that a lot. And if like we make the playoffs, that's probably better than March Madness in my opinion, just because I care more about football. But March Madness, like picking brackets and everything like that, is always one of like the top things to do every year.
Right.
But
you really can get into it.
Yeah. But going into it, I don't know. I heard someone talk about how Oral Roberts is a tough matchup or just like a much better than a 15 seed. And they could like shoot really well and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, it's still Ohio State. We'll still be good. We can beat it, like every team in the Big Ten if we want to.
Sure.
And then the first half happened. I'm like, oh my God, I should have picked Oral Roberts. I knew I should have picked one bracket that just had Oral Roberts just for fun. Because I'm like, I heard someone say they could beat us, and this isn't looking good. And then we started making a comeback, and I'm like, all right, it's looking better. And then Dwayne Washington didn't want to pass the ball to anyone.
Which, again, you can't really blame people too much. They're only kids.
No, you can
blame
him for this game.
But, I think that better shot selection in the moment could have helped us a lot.
So, this is the main game we're going to focus on because we're Ohio State fans. But in the end of the game, we were tied. We had the last shot.
Right.
We take a 3 for some reason. Like
it was definitely not open.
3.
It was very contested.
No, it was a contested 3. He stepped back and took it. Like he just was like, "Oh, this is easy." I heard he's 1 for 6 or something like that, or 0 for 6 on the year.
In game-winning shots.
Yeah. So he keeps trying them and it never works. When we have our best player is EJ Liddell, and all we need is 1 point. Like literally anything to go in, we win the game. And it's like, why would we take this really difficult 3 to win the game? So then we go into overtime. It's like, all right, whatever. And then we started doing well in overtime. So I was like, cool, we're actually looking good. But Dwayne Washington wouldn't pass the ball to anyone.
I think one of the biggest problems that OSU was plagued with, like throughout, the season, and especially the Big Ten tournament, and then at the end here, was turnovers in the last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
I guess turnovers in general, at all. But definitely the end of the game is just, I think there's a lot of nerves. I understand. I could not be out there doing what they're doing, but
But it was some of it wasn't even like it was a regular season game and we just couldn't close it out. Like
That's
we would
true.
be beating like a good team and we couldn't close it out. And it was like our whole season we just couldn't close it out. And then at one point we were down by 3 and Dwayne Washington did just sprinted across the court and tried to make a layup, and it was a terrible shot. And it was just like, why are you shooting that? We're down 3. If anything, try to take a 3 down, not a terrible layup.
Well, I get the thought behind that, right, is probably that you're saving clock time. That's my guess. But
it was like if you watch the shot, it wasn't like it wasn't like it was close to going in. He just kind of this was something I would do. You just run as hard as you can and just throw it up there, and you're just like, what do you do? And we there was too many turnovers. It's a problem, and it was not fun. Not a fun time. Will
everybody be back next year? I don't think.
I don't think Dwayne Washington is.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Well, he might be. He might come back.
I would imagine he would come back. I don't think CJ Walker.
CJ Walker, he's like a 5th-year senior.
Yeah,
he's
gone. He's gone. We're losing.
I'm hoping EJ
probably
stays.
Is it Aaron's?
Yeah, he's at least a senior. I think Kyle Young.
I thought he was a
senior.
transfer, like a graduate transfer from.
No, he's been here the whole time. He had that 23-point game 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
Where he was the only he shot 8 for 11 for 3 and was the only reason we won.
I've been bad at following college basketball in the last 2 years, up until March Madness every year. But
yeah, he saved us one of the games where we should have lost by a lot. But yeah, so we should have a few. We should have most of the team coming back.
We have pretty good recruiting classes too.
Yeah, if EJ Liddell stays, I think we'll be all right.
I feel so bad for him though, because he performed the best on the team.
Yeah. And that's what I don't understand that whole situation.
Well, and then
you can explain it real quick.
He was getting death threats after the game for not performing well enough. And first off, no death threat is ever okay, at all on any player, especially collegiate kids. they're 19, 18, maybe some even 17-year-old kids out there playing, a game, which, again, it's a game, emphasis on that.
Yeah, it has no effect on your life other than if you decide to bet on it.
Right. But here's the biggest thing. He was the best player on the court that day. Maybe other than the two Oral Roberts guys that...
Yeah, other than that one dude. That one dude didn't do anything in the second half, basically.
No, they went on a pretty big scoring drought for a while.
Yeah, if E.J. Liddell would have continued to score, he would have had way more. But yeah, I'm assuming he was just the only one to really bring it public, because I'm guessing Dwayne Washington got some sort of death threats, or his DMs weren't open like E.J. Liddell's were. Yeah, it's stupid. Like, we can be mad, and that's all we're ever going to do with it. We're going to be like, we should have won. It's over. Like, it's not the first time our team has lost in like the first round. As a Kansas fan, also, it's happened multiple times to me, so it's not like it's something new.
Now, that's something that we can talk about, because I'm a huge UNC fan, and UNC always has to get matched up into Kansas. Not this year, but
they were off
every
this year.
time I bet UNC against Kansas, Kansas wins. And so I started over the past couple of years, rooting for Kansas, or not rooting for Kansas, but picking Kansas. That there's a big clarification there. And Kansas always does the opposite of what I want.
Yep. Trust me, as a Kansas fan my whole life, I've seen them win once, and it was probably the most exciting March Madness I've ever seen, because Ohio State has never won. They've been to the finals, what was it, twice, I think?
We did have a win.
Once.
We did have.
We didn't. We haven't.
Yep.
We haven't won.
We had one win. I don't know if it got taken away.
Not in our lifetime.
Oh, okay, not in our lifetime, but after.
I'm talking when we've been watching.
Yeah, no.
We haven't won a single one. We went to the finals against Florida
twice.
We went to the finals against Florida too, and then we lost.
Well, I actually have right in front of my desk. You can't see it because it's off camera, but 2007 Final Four Atlanta.
There you go.
Gigantic poster that has the Florida Gators, UCLA, Georgetown, and Ohio State. And I believe we made it to the finals that year and lost to Florida.
We did. I forget. We either made the Final Four the year after or the year before or something.
Was that the team with John Diebler? Or
I don't remember. He wasn't ever the big guy. So
no. Well,
we made it with Solinger.
Maybe they made him change his shot. That's a completely different subtopic for another day.
All right,
but
back to Kansas though.
Did you have Kansas going far?
Yeah. In one of my brackets. In one of the brackets, so what I do every year, I pick Ohio State and Kansas all the way, because I have to pick a bracket where I'm like, if they win, I'm happy no matter what. Like, they're in my bracket. This year, obviously, I didn't. They're in Gonzaga's bracket, so I picked them to lose in the Elite Eight every single time. Other than the bracket, I picked them to win. But I had them beating Iowa most of the times, and then they got crushed.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't even close this year. I was, like, looking at the score. Well, I was looking at the score of the first game.
34-point difference.
They almost lost the first game. Like, they were really tied up until like the last
Eastern
5 minutes, and they pulled away. Yeah. So it was almost a really bad year for me. And then they won, then they got crushed by USC. But I'd never really had too much faith in them. They haven't been that good this year. So I was just kind of like, whatever, but I have to pick them. But they got crushed.
Well, and then I guess my other favorite team, UNC, also got crushed by 23 points to Wisconsin, who then put up a pretty pitiful second half performance to Baylor.
Yeah, at least Baylor's all right, though. Like, they lost to a team they were supposed to lose to.
That's true. That's fair enough. And
Kansas loses by 34 to the 6th seed in USC.
Well, I really want to know your thoughts on that matchup. But before we get to our Sweet 16 kind of predictions, I want to go through and tell me on your top bracket which upsets you picked that were right and which upsets you picked that were wrong.
My upsets that I picked right are very few, I'm pretty sure, on the bracket that I'm looking at, which is my best one. This one I honestly like, besides like 10 seeds, which I don't really count as too much of an upset because it's basically like an 8-9 game. I think I got every single upset wrong. So like I picked for some reason in this bracket I had Georgetown winning.
A lot of people had that. That was pretty common.
Yeah. I had
and that was
UC
against
Santa Barbara winning.
Colorado, for people that don't know.
Yeah. I had UC Santa Barbara winning against Creighton. That one was close. It was a 1-point game. I've had...
Very close, actually.
Let's see. I had Utah State going to I just had them winning one game, actually. Never mind. And some of the brackets, I think I picked in the Sweet 16. But yeah, I didn't pick any of the major upsets. Like literally, I picked nothing that got right this year. I picked UCLA too, but that's another one that's not like crazy 11 seed. I don't really consider it like too much of an upset.
So I called the Ohio-Virginia game.
Dude, I thought that too. So going into that, before you go on to your next ones, I didn't know what Virginia was like, so I didn't want to pick against them because I thought they were still good, but I didn't know what
they are still
good.
Be
with COVID.
They should have won that game, but
they should have. But I didn't know what their problems with COVID.
They
so
choked
I didn't know
a lot in the first round of tournaments.
Well, they played D.
Yeah.
If they don't stop you from scoring, they're not winning the game.
Exactly.
Go back to your upsets now.
I wanted to pick Eastern Washington, but I didn't, so I got that round right. So right now that was the West. If we move over to the South, I called Winthrop against Villanova, and it looked good in the first half until it got completely blown out and destroyed. I did not call the Purdue North Texas. I wanted to, but did not. I called... Oh, that's not an upset. I was going to say Loyola Chicago was an upset, but everybody knew they were going to win. I mean, you can't root against a none.
I picked them in some of my brackets, and I think some of them I wanted to pick Georgia Tech because I thought Georgia Tech might be better than a 9 seed, and I don't know, like I don't watch Loyola, so I don't ever consider like their hype or anything. I'm just like, they're running on the fumes of their Final Four appearance, but I guess they're still going, so.
I don't think they made it to the Final Four, did they?
They did. That was they made it to the Final Four that year. No, they were a Final Four team. Well, that's why everyone was like hyped up about them.
Well, they might do it again this year, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a hard bracket to get there. Houston's the hardest one in that bracket.
Well, Houston almost lost to Rutgers.
Them. Yeah,
but I guess.
But again, if you believe the hype of the Big Ten teams, that is okay.
True.
I think Rutgers beat some people throughout the year.
But I did have Oregon State beating Tennessee. That was one of my other big upsets that I called and was right. I didn't call the Syracuse San Diego State, and I should have because Jim Boeheim, he always gets Syracuse when they're a lower seed to make it the Sweet 16. I don't know how. It's like magic.
I picked San Diego State in some of my brackets to the Elite Eight.
That is tough.
Yes, very, very tough.
And I guess to finish it out, I picked UCLA, even though that's really not like a huge upset. And I think that's about it. Maryland, I guess, over UConn, but 7-10s.
Yeah, it's not much of one. Plus, I thought Maryland was better anyways. But if you guys follow it, or if you don't know what happened, Albany Christian with the 14th seed beat Texas. And
that ruined my bracket.
I actually picked Bama to go pretty far. And my best bracket have them until Final Four. And then who else was a good seed? Oral Roberts is the other one. They beat Ohio State, and they beat Florida. They beat Florida.
I think they can beat Arkansas, too, because I did not think Arkansas had a good showing. I mean, they should have lost at Colgate. Well, not really, but...
They beat Colgate by 17.
Yeah, well, they were losing pretty bad in the first half.
They should have lost to Texas Tech.
They should have lost to Texas Tech, but I think Texas Tech missed, like, an overtime layup. Or not overtime layup, final minute layup.
Yeah. And then another big thing is the Pac-12 is doing really well, and the Big Ten has one team left.
Yeah.
When the Big 12 or Big Ten had 9 or 10 teams in the bracket.
Yeah, it was the most.
Yeah, and we have one left in the Sweet 16, which is really sad since we had 2 1 seeds, 2 2 seeds, and then other various seeds. But Pac-12, I didn't believe in them at all. I said these guys are terrible. I don't know anything about them this year,
but they're doing
and I'm not picking any of them. They are doing so well. At least a few of them get eliminated pretty soon because they have to play each other.
Okay, so this was not planned. It was not part of the script, but I think it'll be fun. Let's go through first looks. Who are you betting your money on for each game? So we'll start back in the West. We'll go Gonzaga and Creighton. Who do you choose in that matchup? I think it's
Gonzaga. You don't need to even ask about the next one. I'm picking them to the Final Four.
So Gonzaga.
Yeah, I would pick. I think USC. I think they probably beat Oregon
UNC
at some
over
point.
Oregon? Really?
Well, they beat Kansas by 34. I'm not going to pick a team that doesn't beat Kansas by 34.
That's true. But Oregon also looks good too.
Yeah, I didn't really watch that game. I just saw the end and whatever. I'm picking USC though because they played each other.
That's going to be a very high-scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, since they played each other, I'm like, they already know each other. They're not going in completely blind. And I think USC is probably the better of the teams based on the seed, and I think they've beat them before. But yeah, and then Gonzaga after that.
Okay, so Gonzaga come out in the Final Four.
Yep.
I think I'm going to have to agree with that portion. I don't know about the USC Oregon. Just because I want to make it fun, I'm going to go with Oregon. And then Oregon losing to Gonzaga. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch it up. Because I already have Gonzaga winning. Let's really go crazy. Oregon will beat Gonzaga and win the Final Four.
You're crazy.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go over. We'll go to the South, which is the top right-hand corner of the bracket. Baylor versus Villanova.
I'm going Baylor here. I'm really this is where at the point where I'm just going to start picking the higher seeds because I'm going for Baylor here because I think they're probably better.
I'm going to go with Baylor
at this point. Yeah. The next one's the exciting one.
I'm going to go Oral Roberts. I think that they can pull it off against Arkansas.
So this is one of our topics. We might as well bring this up now since we already talked about Ohio State a lot. Do you root for the team that beat your team?
Depends on the team.
So like Oral Roberts, are you rooting for them at this point?
Definitely.
Do you want them to keep going far?
Yes, because they're an underdog Cinderella story, right? If it was like Florida beating me, no.
I don't like underdogs. I get really mad at them because one, they get all the attention. It's really annoying to me. And then two, they usually beat one of my teams on the way there. So I don't think they should have beat Ohio State. I think we lost to ourselves. But I don't like hearing about Oral Roberts anymore. Plus, their name's Oral Roberts.
So you're going to go Arkansas?
I'm going to go Arkansas.
All right, in the final, Arkansas versus Baylor.
Baylor again.
Okay, and then for me, I'll go Baylor as well. So we both have Baylor in the Final Four on that side. Okay, going down to the East, Michigan State and Florida State. Sorry, Michigan, not Michigan State. Ooh. Oh, God, Michigan State blew a really... They were the first loss of many.
Yeah, this is the hard one. Because I want to pick Michigan because I did pick Michigan in my bracket. And I don't know too much about Florida State. And I don't think they're anything special. But also, Michigan hasn't looked crazy good either. But I'm rooting for the Big Ten here, and we're going Michigan. So we're pulling another 1 seed out.
I picked Florida State in my bracket. I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to go Florida State.
Okay. All right. There you go.
And then UCLA, Alabama.
I'm going to go with Bama. They've looked pretty good the whole time so far. The first game, they struggled at the start, but any of the lower seeds, I think usually does do pretty well at the start of the game because they confuse the higher seed, but once the higher seed figures it out, they just kind of blow them away.
I think so.
So, yeah, we're going Bama there.
All right, so for you, Michigan, Alabama.
Dude, this is the worst. As a Ohio State college football fan, this is the worst matchup ever here in your life.
You can't win with either choice.
No, well, the only winning here is Big Ten pride, and you're like, please, we need something for the Big Ten.
Some people won't do that, though. Some people think that
I know.
You can't support Michigan.
Our rivalry in basketball is nowhere near the same.
You're right.
Like, some people take it like, oh, Ohio State, Michigan hate each other for everything. But I'm like, this one, I don't really care as much because, like, no one gets as hyped up to beat Michigan every year.
Yeah,
because we play them, two to like possibly like 3 or 4 times every year. So it's like, okay, we win one game, they win one game. It's like, all right, wasn't much of a rivalry that year. But I'm going Bama. I hate Bama so much, but their basketball team, I don't hate them as much as their football team. And I did pick them in this one. And I think as of right now, they're looking better than Michigan.
I'm going to go with Bama, too. I have Florida State in my main one, but I think this is Bama's year to make it the Final Four. So I'm going to switch my mind. I'm going to go with Bama.
There you go.
Now,
we get the most exciting one.
The Midwest. Loyola, Chicago versus Oregon State.
Well, I don't... Dude, so, like... At this point, Oregon State is the underdog, which is crazy because you'd be like, if you heard Oregon State and Loyola Chicago, if you heard nothing about their seeds, you would assume that Oregon State is the higher seed just because of you would assume it because they're a Power 5 conference and Chicago, like the only way they usually would qualify for the tournament is they win their bracket.
Yeah, on MacBed.
And that's the only reason Oregon State's in the bracket anyways, because they won that way. But if you just heard the names, you'd think Oregon State. But I don't know, dude. I'm tired of hearing about Chicago or Loyola Chicago, but I think they're just better. That one dude's like popping off. The center they have. I forget his name, but we're gonna pick them.
Okay, so you're going with Loyola Chicago. I'm really debating it. That's why I was stretching out my words there. I'm gonna go with Oregon State. I think that a lot of people will count them out. Let's go with Oregon State there.
I counted them out from round 1. So.
And then Syracuse and Houston.
See, I'm terrible at picking upsets, mostly because I think there's a reason the number 2 team is the number 2 team. I also don't think Syracuse is like anything crazy, but they have beaten San Diego State. I thought West Virginia was overranked anyways. I'm going to go Houston, though. I think Houston will handle them. They did struggle against Rutgers, but
I'm going to go Houston, too. And the reason behind that is purely because I think that, you have a full week of time to rest, recover, and watch footage from the last weekend. And I think that a lot of higher-seeded teams, or a lot of better teams, will have better coaching staffs and better environments to
do
review.
They? Does Houston have a better coaching staff than Syracuse?
Okay, well, I guess, and I meant in general, not in this.
I'm just saying.
Case.
I'm just saying. But we're going with this specific game. Boeheim has won stuff before. I don't know who Houston's coach even is.
Well, it doesn't matter anyways.
Okay, coaching doesn't
Syracuse.
matter at this point. There you go.
Okay, so I guess going up to our, I guess we have to finish off that bracket first. Syracuse.
I have Loyola versus
and Oregon State
Houston.
for me.
Okay, I'm picking. God, I don't want to pick Loyola because I just don't want to hear about them in the
Oregon
Final
State.
Four again.
I want to have, that'd be a great success story for Oregon State.
You're going Oregon State?
Yeah.
I'm going Houston.
Okay.
I'm picking the higher seeds to win most of these games. So I have a 1-2 and versus a 1-2.
Final four. For you, let's go with your matchup first. You have Gonzaga versus Alabama.
Gonzaga's the best team in here.
So Gonzaga's winning on that side for you. And then for your other Final Four, you have Baylor versus Loyola Chicago or Houston, right?
Yep.
Okay.
See, Baylor's looking so much better than Houston. But I don't want to pick the top 2 seeds. But no, Baylor and Gonzaga were literally the top 2 teams all year. And it wasn't even close for most of the year.
Yep.
We're going Baylor. I was going to pick Houston. I was going to pick Houston, but I think Baylor's probably just better than Houston. I wanted to go with the double mid-major, but I couldn't do it.
We should definitely fill out our Sweet 16 brackets so that we have these picks. But so on my side,
the whole time.
Well, I'm gonna probably do an overlay. We'll see if I have the energy to do an overlay to our podcast. If I do, you'll have a nice little visual of what we've picked. But so I have Oregon and Florida State, which I'm gonna go with Florida State here. God, I feel like that's such a bad pick. Oh, God.
I mean, I already thought the Oregon was a bad pick from the start.
Well,
I picked VCU. Okay, so hold on. Before we get into that, I completely forgot I picked VCU, and I didn't get there was no game. We didn't even talk about that.
VCU
there was no game. Oregon has, if they win the whole way, they've played one less game, and they could have lost their first round game, but we'll never know. Like, if Ohio State would have just passed Oral Roberts ever played, do you think we would be in the Final Four? Maybe.
We definitely would have been in the Elite Eight, because Florida and Arkansas are not worth anything.
All right, but we'll get off of that.
Oh gosh. Yeah, let's go Florida State. It feels so... No, I picked Bama, didn't I? I picked Bama. Okay, that makes me feel better.
Bama.
We're going with Bama. Thank God.
There you go.
That felt so wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Bama going to the championship from the left side, and from the right side we have Oregon State versus Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Baylor is significantly better.
Okay. I was a little worried about that one. I thought you might just throw away everything and say Oregon State.
And although I want to pick Bama because we have a friend that, is a big Bama person.
No. He gets to win everything else. Screw them.
You know what? Just because of that, I'm going to make my pick. Oh, God. I don't want to say it.
Don't say it. Say Baylor.
Oh, man.
Go Bears.
Yeah, you got to go Baylor. They have not messed up yet. They're not going to mess up. I think Bama in the final stretch will mess up.
Do you know how annoying Bama fans would be if they won football and basketball?
Good for them for having a good basketball year, though.
No. Screw them. Screw Bama. They keep getting good recruits in basketball. Why do they need two sports? Sure, Ohio State was also a 2 seed, and we had a good year, too.
We failed.
But we messed up, and we lost them in the national championship in football. I'm tired of hearing about them. I should have picked Michigan to the Final Four.
All right, well, I'm going to make that into a bracket, and hopefully it wins me some money.
Hopefully.
Although it probably won't because there's less picks.
Gonzaga's going to – you're right. Gonzaga's going to lose to Creighton in the first round. Or Sweet 16.
I didn't make that pick.
I know. I'm just saying that's how my bracket's gonna go this time. I'm gonna root for one team. Well, and it's over.
Mine could just
First
lose
game.
by Villanova beating Baylor, and that's very possible too. So
Yeah. There you go.
There's our picks. You've seen them first. I'm sure we can throw some links into the bracket for those that we make in the description.
Maybe.
Below. And if you're listening to this on audio, well, you're out of luck.
Hey, I mean, it was pretty obvious. We picked Baylor and Gonzaga to win it all. So it's not like we picked anything too crazy.
That's true.
You switched it up more than me. Every time we're at this point in the bracket, I just can't pick lower seeds because I'm just like, someone has to win here. Like, it has to be the better team.
Yeah, you'd think so. And generally, I feel like that's what happens. But, I think it'll be a fun time, and it'll be good to not have to worry about my team winning and just cheer for someone that'll be fun to watch.
See, it's not as fun for me once my team's eliminated. I remember once as a kid, I tore up my bracket because Kansas lost in the very first round to Bucknell, I think.
That was a great thing that I picked.
No. No, it was a terrible thing because I picked Kansas. We were actually good. I think we might have been a 4 seed that year. We're good. Kansas is good every year, but it's a sad time for me.
My favorite year was the year that I picked Duke losing. Actually, I picked Duke losing both times as a 15 seed, and was it a 13 or 14? I don't remember. Or sorry,
Lehigh.
Lehigh, and what was the other one? Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you picked the 15 seed to beat Duke?
I did because I hate Duke. And
okay. See, I don't go that far in my brackets where I hate this team. I'm not picking.
I don't always do that.
The one time I did it, remember when I think Kentucky was undefeated and they were stacked. I hate Kentucky so much. I hate John Calipari. I had a perfect Final Four if I would have just picked them. I picked them to the Elite Eight, but I said, you guys are losing to Wisconsin. Wisconsin almost pulled it out and would have had a perfect Final Four because Michigan State was 11 seed. Michigan State was an 11 seed, and I picked them to the Final Four because they had made a run in the Big Ten tournament. So I was like, whatever, we're going to pick them. And I had a perfect Final Four if I would just pick Kentucky, but I was too stubborn to pick Kentucky when they were the very obvious choice.
Well, that is a lot of March Madness talk, and I could talk about it all day, but I want to get one final smaller segment before we close with our notorious segment, which is I want to ask you what you think about the trend of this is like the MMM episode. We got to be careful not to get sued by Mickey Mouse, also MM. But March Madness, Marvel, and movies, right? All the M's is today's episode.
Yeah.
And we just found out, it'll be probably a little bit late for people that are watching this in real time, but Black Widow was pushed back from, I don't know when it was supposed to be, May to July.
Well, it was supposed to be last year.
Yeah, it was supposed to be in May 1st of 2020, and now it's going to be, 14 months later than it was originally scheduled, and it's going to be coming out in Disney Plus and theaters at the same time.
Disney Plus.
Well,
you gotta throw some quotes in there.
Yeah, Disney Plus with a $30 pick. And my main concern with that is that I'm a huge advocate of going to theaters, and some people don't like that, but I feel like a lot of people like that experience. And if that $30 amount is gonna work really, really well, so this will be like a test water kind of thing for them, right? They're gonna see how
this is probably their biggest
sales,
test water,
right?
One would be.
They've already realized that they can sell a lot of movie day passes essentially through Disney Plus. So now they're going to be able to test how a theater release will do versus that, and if it does really, really well at home, or even equally as well as in the theaters. My greatest fear is that they'll stop releasing the theaters so that they can make more money for themselves and only release it online, and that would be the most tragic thing to happen to movie fans.
I don't know if you want to talk about specifically Marvel or anything. I just don't see I don't see it continuing for very long. I think once we get to more normal, obviously vaccines are rolling out and everything, but I don't see I wouldn't personally pay $30 to see a movie once, because that would have to be something like, hey, you have 8 friends come over and everyone pitches in for that,
and that's their idea behind the price point.
Yeah, and then that's the same price as I only go to movies basically on Tuesday, Thursday when it's $5
or $6.
So that's when
day.
Did they change it?
No, it's $5 one day and $6 the other day.
Well, I just say I'm a student on Thursday and it's $5
right.
still. But I basically only see movies on those days because one, movies are insanely expensive when you don't like go on those days. So I'm like, that's the equivalent of 6 movies for me, is playing it for once. If I'm just watching it with someone else, like it's just me and my girlfriend, and we're watching it just by ourselves, I wouldn't pay it for that. But say like I had you and like all of our friends come over and we watched it on a projector like outside, then I'm like, it's probably worth it at that point because then we see a day it comes out. But I would rather be in a movie theater because one, the quality is better, sounds better, and then our movie theater has reclining seats and you're comfy.
Well, and it's the experience thing, right? It's the going out to somewhere with people to do something. You know, there's the experience aspect too.
Yeah. And plus, if you're watching it at home, if you're watching it in a big group, you're probably going to miss something.
Yeah.
And then you can't go, like, obviously you can go back and rewatch it, but like you might only be able to do it that day. Is that how they're doing it?
I think it's like a 24-hour or like 48-hour pass.
Because that's what they do for like pay-per-view,
right?
Like when movies first came out or whatever. So that's what they would do. So you could maybe watch it, but I wouldn't really want to, like, I would be fine with it if it was a movie I didn't care about. Like if I'm just like, hey, let me watch with like 8 friends and we'll just kind of like chill and whatever. But like I want like pretty much silence and like really loud speakers, and you won't get that at home unless you have like a movie theater in your basement.
Yeah, really big stereo system.
Yeah, I mean for those people it's gonna be great because if you have a theater in your house, it's just like, all right, cool. We don't need to leave home to watch the movie.
Well, so I would love to talk about Marvel more, and I'm sure that we can get to that in a future video. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's a pretty big hot topic thing that's going on, and it's something that is affecting me in my 20s. So, yeah, let's finish off with the best segment.
You want to sing your little song again?
Shelby's question of the week.
How do you edit this and sing that song? Do you not listen to that part?
I try to avoid any part that has me speaking.
Well, that really great having you editing it and equalizing our sound when you won't listen to yourself.
We'll get it right on week 3.
Maybe. Well, we might be the only ones that notice. Well, I'm the only one that watched the last one.
But anyways.
Probably. Shelby's question of the week. All right. So if you've watched our last 2 episodes, we always do this, and it's usually just some random question my girlfriend comes up with, and we'll debate it for like 2 minutes if it needs to. But this one is, if you had one giant piece of paper, who would you give a paper cut to between the fingers? She said that one was the worst. I don't know if I've ever really gotten a paper cut between the fingers, but that does sound more painful than just like on your finger.
I feel like
so who are you giving your paper cut to?
Similar amount of pain.
Probably, but like this, I feel like because you're moving it a lot more. Like if you get it on like just like your fingertip, you're just kind of like not really moving it. But if you get it in between your fingers, and you're just kind of like stretching it out all the time.
Well, I want to first say that I don't advocate for any form of violence or.
I'm shaking my head, but you guys can't
see it on camera so much. No, but in all actuality, paper cuts hurt, so I really would not wish them on anybody because that is not fun. It's like stepping on Legos. I would not want to step on Legos either.
No, that's in the later question. Maybe if Shelby wants that.
But I don't know. Do you have a specific person in mind?
I mean, I feel like we talked about this in our first episode. The only person who came into mind right away was Taylor Swift. I don't like her.
Out of all people you could choose, Taylor Swift.
Maybe Dwayne Washington, so he doesn't shoot those shots to end the game.
Ouch.
But I don't have a problem with Dwayne Washington. But Taylor Swift, don't like her. I think I would.
There's a lot of Swifties that are going to come in here. And
that's fine. If they watched episode 1, they know my hate for Taylor Swift. I think. Tough. I don't remember if we talked about that. We did that like 4 times, so I don't remember which episode 1 that was. I think that portion got
cut out of episode 1, so we'll have to come back to that in later.
I think it stayed in. Well, I'll listen to it again one day. Who are you doing?
Man, this is so challenging.
You could just pick someone easy. You can pick one of our friends if you just want to give them a paper cut just for fun.
I would pick myself.
That's just lame. Get that out of here. Okay. You're not picking yourself. You got to type for a living. You want to be typing with the finger with a paper cut?
That's true. That is not a pleasant experience.
No.
Someone that doesn't use their hands.
Anyone. You could just.
Could it be like a foot massage person, since it would not affect their line of work?
No. You gotta pick someone.
Oh, specifically name drop.
Specifically name drop one person.
What if I said you? Would you just stop making a podcast?
No, then I would make sure I bleed on you or something.
Oh God, no. Who's been really terrible to me?
Who's been terrible to you? I don't know. Probably me. You did live with me for a little bit.
I can't think of anybody. I cannot think of a single person that I dislike to the point where I would wish a paper cut on them.
Oh, pick Putin or something. I don't know.
Well, then I'm really screwed.
Well, I don't know why you're cutting him up. Let's see. Who else is there? I'm trying to pick up someone that is universally disliked.
Oh, okay. I will say something.
David Dobrik isn't.
This is a brand new hot topic thing that it'll be faded by the time that this is out. But the lady that Reddit hired.
Oh, there you go. I read about that yesterday because I was so confused on what was happening.
That's a hot topic thing.
She's an awful person, and it's not even going to be a later podcast because everyone will forget about it tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
but
that's how the internet works.
Cut her. I don't even know her name, but go for it.
Well, it's not even me cutting her. It's I'm wishing, or not even wishing. I'm saying a paper cut.
No, you had the piece of paper.
I don't want to be in a 5-foot radius.
You just handed her you threw her a piece of paper from across the room.
All right, I threw a
and
paper
she just tried to grab it and it cut
a gigantic paper airplane from my state over to wherever she is in the UK.
Yeah.
And
I think I don't know if it's going that far, but that's
theoretically.
That might just be physics and paper.
And that's a wrap.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening and watching, even though there's really nothing to watch. I hope you just have it on the background.
Hopefully I edited in some March Madness things in there.
Hopefully, and you can see our picks. I guess let us know in the comments what you are picking for your Final Four and who's your eventual champion, hopefully. But all our links are down in the description. If this somehow magically ends up on Spotify or whatever, follow us there. And then also check out the YouTube of each of ours because that's what we're going to talk about every episode. So you might as well subscribe to us on YouTube so you can be up to date. So thank you guys for watching. And Hans, end it out.
Have a great rest of your day.